All right, Sort of Sports Podcast, episode 168. We had a great first week of NFL action, and my good friend Austin Fisher is back. Brownies looked all right, gotta say. I think the Brownies look better than my Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, visually, right? But the result's the same at the end of the day. 0-1's 0-1. But if there's ever a game to take a moral victory, that is the one, and probably the only that I'll be like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. So I brought you on, Austin. You know a lot of things that I don't when it comes to the sports gambling world. We thought it'd be fun. Guys always tell us when you and I talk about sports betting, they're like, dude, this is a podcast. I'd listen to it. So I'm like, well, might as well start having Austin on. So we thought of a fun segment we could do every week. We were talking about different ideas, and you're a big EV guy.
Yeah, so expected value is what EV stands for those not involved in the definitional world of the sports betting realm. But pretty much that's all I look at anymore. I don't really care to, oh, I think this player is good. He's gonna have X amount of yards. It's what do the odds say? Like what's gonna make me the most money? But that has actually worked quite well the last couple of months. I've been like tweaking around, experimenting with it. So usually what I rely on, but I kind of like to, have that little bridge between like what the odds say is good and also what I think is going to happen. You double check yourself, makes you feel good about the picks you take.
Yeah, and so we thought the segment, we decided I think the name we landed on, we talked about different things. I liked Fish in a Barrel with your name being Fisher, but we ended
Hmm.
up with EV passes, kind of like Easy Pass when you have to drive through a toll road. So this is EV passes with Austin Fisher. So you got six picks for me that you think have some real value this weekend. So if you're out there looking for a bet, these are the ones. Let's hear them, Austin.
All right, my first one, jumping right out the gate. I'm taking the Jets +7 against the Buffalo Bills this week. Just talking about this historically, it's -115 on DraftKings. All these odds are going to be DraftKings, by the way, which are subject to change. They definitely will throughout the week. But I like the Jets this week to cover at the minimum. They're actually 2-1 in their last three home games against the Bills straight up. So I think they're going to play pretty well there. Their offense looks almost flawless last week. And the Bills, not to say that, they're not going to come out and play hard, but winning that game against the Ravens, you almost feel like there's a bit of a hangover because of how they went out and, stole that game at the very end. They might be celebrating that for a couple days too extra. Whereas the Jets, kind of lost that game in the fourth quarter. They're going to be coming out wanting to take over and establish themselves. Now, in my pick 'em, this is my biggest upset of the week. I have the Jets winning straight up, but I don't think I would take that if I were a better out there. I'd probably just take the spread at home. But the Bills don't tend to play very well at MetLife.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. You know, what's funny is this is actually a stay away from me. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
putting any money on this game because, like, my girlfriend's like, oh, just ride the Bills every week. You'll make money. And I'm like, you're right, except for the fact that, like, I think the Bills will win this game. I do.
Hmm.
But I don't want to mess with the spread. I don't want to mess with anything. I don't want to be sitting there and the Jets are up 14-0 in the first quarter and you're like, why did I bet on the Bills?
Yeah.
And so this is a stay away for me. And I like the risk here saying, hey, I think this Jets team is well coached. I liked Aaron Glenn's first outing. The big thing for me is, that meme where it's like, impressive, impressive. Now let's see the unscripted drives.
Right. Yeah.
And the Jets were a team that played better in the unscripted drives, and that's always going to impress me more than a team like the Bears that like came out the gate looking hot, and then when push came to shove, they kind of shat the bed. And um, to me, a mark of a really great coach is the guy who gets it done in the fourth quarter. That's why the Chiefs are successful. That's why I don't know if Sean McDermott's successful, but Josh Allen at least is. It feels like,
Right. Yeah.
and I mean Sean McDermott kind of has a reputation for blowing games. But I'm saying, uh, this Jets team I think is well coached, and I think that'd be a fun team to watch with some. I mean, I just asked you if I should start Justin Fields in fantasy. As a Fields lover, I'm excited.
Yeah, I would buy the hype completely. I took the Jets spread last week straight up. They were +3 against Pittsburgh. They covered. That was pretty comfortable. Obviously, didn't have to worry about the 2 points at the end there. That's why
So
you
the
take the
Jets, you're
spread, not the
like
money line.
betting favorite this year so far? Like they're your
I
fun team?
suppose in technicality they would be. I mean, I went 5 for 6 in my I guess top six picks last week, which your Panthers let me down. They're the only one I missed out on. But that aside, no, I do like the Jets a lot this year. I think Justin Fields is finally in a scheme where he has control over the offense. He's not, behind an offensive line in Chicago where they're trying to get him killed. He's not in a scheme in Pittsburgh where every quarterback fits the exact same narrative. He finally has the freedom to play Justin Fields football, and I think it's going to do good things for
He's a college wide receiver who was electric with him.
him. Hmm.
All right, what's your next one?
Uh, on the topic of Sunday Night Football, I'm taking the Ravens minus 11 and a half, minus 110 against the Browns this weekend. Kind of dove into the history of this matchup in Baltimore. And this is even with the Browns win in 2023. The average margin of victory for the Baltimore Ravens since 2020 is 13 points, 12.8 points per game.
Wow.
Browns play in Baltimore. Um, I think, especially talking about the hangover the Bills are coming off of, I think the Ravens are going to be beyond frustrated having won that game for 57 minutes and losing it in the last three. And what better team to pick on than a team that just had to draft, I guess, technically top five. It would have been the second pick. A team that just went 3-14 in your division and doesn't have a lot of hope for the season. They're going to take all their frustrations out in the Browns. I really think they're going to set the tone. I don't think the Browns offense will produce about as good as last week. They'll hang in there for about a half, but that Raven defense, especially their linebacking core, with how the Browns threw the football a lot behind the sticks last week, that's not going to fly against the Ravens. And I think Lamar Jackson has his best games against Cleveland too. Going to be rough to be able to handle the Ravens rushing and passing attack. So I'll take the Ravens by a wide margin in this one.
So you said spread and money line. What are the odds on that?
Spread is minus 110. I think the money line's like minus 750. It's not even
Okay,
worth it.
so
Yeah,
you're
the
you're just
Browns are
saying you might.
heavy
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
underdogs. Yeah.
No, I like that. I also think, you know, I think the Ravens are also going to come out and blast you guys, and I think that Derrick Henry was impressive last week, and I think he's going to probably impress again this week. And I
Mhm.
think, like you said, they're pissed off. They got to get a statement win. I agree. I like that pick a lot. It's good. What's your next one?
Yep. All right. Moving on, we have we'll stick with the AFC North. We have the Jaguars and the Bengals. I'm taking over 48 and a half at minus 115. I think this team in particular, these two teams have really good offenses. The Jaguars showed it off a lot more than I expected last week in their win against the Panthers. That game had a rain delay too, so taking into effect like all the weather that kind of messed up some of their drives. I think a clearer day in Cincinnati will probably do them a little bit better. But again, the Bengals have no defense and the best offense in football, which didn't show last week. Which, in the world of sports betting, you shouldn't say this, but they're due to have a good game offensively, right?
Yeah.
141 yards is not who the Cincinnati Bengals are, but they never play the Browns well. And I have a feeling that's why this line's set very low. It's because it's based on last week. And week two is usually the best time of the year to get on top of lines because the NFL and all the odds makers at the sports books set the odds based off of week one, which is the biggest fluke in football. So week two is your time as a football fan to take advantage of prior knowledge and who the teams are at their core and jump on it. So I think 48 and a half is it's a very low line for these two teams. Last time they played in overtime, Monday Night Football a couple of years ago, that went over by almost 20 full points. So I have all the confidence in
And
the
those
world.
teams
This
I
might
think
go
were
over.
worse then.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. This line will go over by, I think, at least 10 or 15 points.
Well, you always say life's too short to bet the under.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure Abraham Lincoln's the one that said that, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I like this one a lot. You're essentially betting against the Jaguars and Bengals defense and betting on their offenses, what I'm very comfortable with.
Mhm.
That offense did tear up the Panthers. The only caveat would be the Panthers defense might be the worst in the NFL.
That is a good point. Yeah. I mean, but again, that might be the case, but the weather delay they had in the second quarter, it throws off all the momentum offensively. And, playing on that playing surface, you're going to have a more defensive game in the end
Yeah,
as it is. So,
not a bad point. All right, I like it. I like that one.
yeah.
You could talk me into it. I don't think I'd take it, but you could talk me into it.
Fair enough. All right, see if I can talk you into this one. I got the Rams minus 5.5 at minus 112 against the Tennessee Titans this week on the road. The only stat that really made me want to take this was the penalty yardage that the Titans accrued last week. They almost had as many penalty yards as they had offensive yards, which is mind-boggling to even think about. I also think the fact that the Broncos' offense was stagnant almost that entire game really plays into hands the odd makers again to move this line lower because 20-12 did not do that game justice because the Broncos defense absolutely made Cam Ward's day a living nightmare. Constantly running for his life, holding penalty after holding penalty, pre-snap penalties. The Titans were just super misorganized. And a young team like Denver, who was growing into a potential future playoff team consistently, versus the Rams, who are time and time again not just a playoff contender, but a Super Bowl contender. I think Matthew Stafford and his veteranism at quarterback really going to take advantage of that Titan defense. And I think the Rams pass rush, they did very well last week too. Didn't give up a touchdown against Houston. And against a rookie quarterback, I like their odds at minus 5.5.
Yeah, I was in on the Titans, you know this, for the season. And I like what I saw out of Cam Ward. He does have a bit of a problem where he holds on to the ball a while because he knows he can make the pass.
Hmm.
There was one play last week. He's standing in the end zone, and if he throws the ball just a half a second later, it's a safety.
Yeah,
And he got rid of it at the last moment. I'm like, okay, you're just betting on the fact that you're talented, which you can do right now,
sure.
but over time you can't do anymore.
It's that whole draft class, to be honest with you. I feel like, I mean, obviously, Shooter Sanders has that problem too, but I guess we're yet to see Tyler Shuck. Maybe he'll get the nod here in a couple of weeks, but that whole draft class, I feel like, just has an issue of being too comfortable behind their college offensive line. Whereas in the NFL, you have probably half as much time as he had in college. So you got to get
Yeah.
rid of the football.
Well, and the thing is with the Titans, as somebody who liked them before the season, I was like, I don't love their coaching, but maybe they can overcome that. Gosh, they're badly coached. Like
Yeah.
it's really bad. Like Callahan should be fired by mid-season if he keeps this up. He's
He, in my
he's bad.
opinion, never should have been the head coach to begin with. I mean, as a personal, bias to say as a Browns fan, I'm not happy that Brian Callahan stole his father to go help him coach because our offensive line needs him right now. But that aside, there's just certain coordinators in the NFL that are meant to be coordinators and not coaches. And I think Callahan's probably one of them, if I had to
Well, and
guess.
where did he come from?
That's a great question.
Was he the Bengals OC? Is
I
that what he
don't.
was?
You know what? Well, let's look that up. We'll take a little intermission here because I need to know his background. That is a good question.
I'm gonna
Brian
pull it up. I have
Callahan.
it up right now. So before that, yeah, I was right. He was the Bengals coordinator.
Yes.
So he
Huh.
essentially he was the Bengals coordinator from 2019 to 2023. So I'm not trying to be this way, but like the Bengals are good. But
Sure.
like,
But okay, but
are
you
they
said
that good?
it
Like, I
ended in
feel like a lot of that is the
2023.
Jamar Chase, Joe
Yeah,
Burrow than
I was
anything
going to
is.
say the exact same thing. Majority, I mean, they were the best offensive football last year. They were good in the years prior, but in the first year Callahan left, they became the best offensive football. So to me, that has nothing to do with coaching.
Well, yeah, and I know everybody's always trying to hire these OCs, hoping they're Sean McVay, and it's just I think Sean McVay is Sean McVay. That's the other thing
Right.
with this game, Rams Titans is I don't. If this Titans team's going to be good, it's going to be a later season thing. It's going to take them a
Hmm.
bit. And maybe it's firing Callahan and the interim coach does well. I'm willing to bet they're not going to fire Callahan at least
Right.
during the
Yeah.
season. But what I'm saying is, you know, I think Sean McVay will run circles around him coaching. Like Sean McVay might be the best coach in the NFL.
I like that. It's a good take.
I
I like it.
used to kind of think it was Shanahan, but over time I'm like has usually worse teams and gets the same or better results.
Yeah, I've never been sold on Kyle Shanahan. I'll be honest. Like
Oh, you're saying
he's
fraud.
no, I don't like Kyle Shanahan, I'll be honest. I think, he's implemented a great system in San Francisco, but as far as coaching goes, when he has to deal with, the extremities of injuries and other things, he's not very readily equipped to, see that out. Whereas, we'll take Kevin Stefanski in, for example, in 2023, how many quarterbacks he had to go through, still managed to find a way. Where I feel like, the Niners will have an injury to McCaffrey or Brock Purdy, and Shanahan's like, well, we'll see you next year. Like he just kind of lays it down and gives up on it.
When I give McVay credit, he said teams where you couldn't name me five players on it. You know, you'd be like, okay, like last year, it'd be like Puka, Cooper, Kyron Williams, Matthew Stafford, Jared Verse.
There you go. It's five.
I don't know anybody else on that team.
Fair
Is
enough.
Tutu Atwell still there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, six.
There you go.
And it's like they made the playoffs and they
Right.
almost beat the champions.
Yeah.
Is like I can't
Should
name
have.
anybody on their offensive line. I don't
Right.
know who their tight end is.
Yeah.
And I watch a lot of, I feel like I watch a lot of NFL. I can't tell you that, but I also think I don't go out of my way to watch the Rams because I think they have some of the worst jerseys in the league. But that's besides the point. Yeah, I like
Aesthetically
this pick.
unpleasing. Yeah.
I like this pick. What was it? You just said spread and money line? Is that what it was?
Yeah. Minus 5.5. I'm not sure what the money line is, but I think the value there is in the spread.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. What's your next one?
All right. Well, let's keep talking Kyle Shanahan. I have the Niners and the Saints under 42.5 at minus 112 this week. Taking into effect all the injuries that they're going through. I know Brock Purdy's questionable for this week. George Kittle obviously out for a couple of weeks with that calf injury. You feel like the Niners are a team that every other year they're either on a Super Bowl run or they are just injured and battered to death by week two. And this is supposed to be a year where they make a Super Bowl run. But so it seems through the opening week, they still can't stay healthy. So I think in week two, this is a game where they're already 1-0. The Saints are already headed toward the number one overall pick. They're not looking very good at all offensively. I think the Niners might actually, tell Purdy, hey, you could take this one off. Mac Jones is going to get the start or something like that. But regardless, I would probably try to take this line before that is announced. If you're pretty confident that Brock Purdy wouldn't play, because I have a feeling, between the Niners' lack of offense last week, and it's probably a lot more good on that Seattle defense. But the Saints obviously couldn't produce anything even at home against Arizona. So I think under 42 and a half should probably be a pretty good player.
The only thing I don't like is that there's always a chance that it's the backup quarterback effect and Mac Jones has a great game.
You are right. That is a possibility.
Because the backup quarterback effect is real, where it's like you're watching your guy and you're like, oh, this is our dude. And then he goes down and you're like, wait a minute, this guy's pretty good. And it's like, well, yeah, because nobody has any film on him. Like Jake
Right.
Browning did that. And then it was like
Of
after two,
course.
3 weeks, it was okay, never mind, he's
Yeah.
backup. Like that's how it always is. Remember that year where, oh, the Pastronaut,
Yeah. Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs,
Yeah.
balling out for the Cardinals. And then after a couple weeks, it was like, okay, we're done here.
Right.
That was
Yeah.
2 years ago, I think. No, last week, Niners won 17-13. Saints lost 20-13. So combined last week, they were 30. And what's the
Mhm.
line?
42 and a half.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And that's with Brock Purdy in.
Right. Yeah, that's I'm assuming maybe the odds makers are kind of like in that middle range where like, hey, if Purdy's announced, we'll put the line up. If he's gonna sit, we'll move the line down a point. But
Yeah.
I still think 42 and a half is way too high for that game.
All right, what's up next?
All right, final pick in the pick six. We got Steelers money line at minus 155 against Seattle this week. Opening
Really?
home game. Yeah, opening home game for Pittsburgh. They usually play pretty well in their home opener, but against Seattle, last two matchups they played, they've just kind of had their number. And the Seahawks are a team that they do battle very well. I mean, each of those games, I'm pretty sure, came down to the wire, to a possession, whatever it may be. But I think it's going to come down to coaching at the end of the day. And Mike Tomlin in his fourth quarters is unbelievable. Whereas Mike McDonald, I don't think has enough experience there quite yet as a head coach. So again, he talked about Sean McVay tearing up the Titans with his coaching expertise. I think Mike Tomlin, while he doesn't get credit for a lot that he does overall, I think situationally he's still a mindset and a half above the rest. And I think Aaron Rodgers played exceptionally last week. I don't think anybody predicted that he would throw for 4 touchdowns in his opener with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So assuming he can keep at least half of that momentum rolling into next week against a good Seahawk defense, I like Pittsburgh in this one.
Steelers are a team I hate betting on, and they're also a team I hate betting against. So I would,
Right.
this is like pretty much every Steelers game is a stay away because there's always a chance they can just win it, and there's
Yeah,
always a chance that like even if you like I kind of like this Seahawks team.
of course.
I think they have a good defense. It's also an interesting defense because it's built in the linebackers and secondary. It's not really built in the pass rush. It's very
Right.
different than a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Like Witherspoon might be their best defender.
Mhm.
And then, gosh, I remember when he was drafted. It was like, yeah, this guy's gonna be good. Like it was pretty
Yep.
obvious. I was saying to Braden yesterday because I had Braden on the pod. I said I was like, if the Panthers really suck, we should just take Josh Downs. I don't care what pick we have.
I mean, you may as
Not
well
Josh
like.
Downs, Caleb Downs. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah, I know what you meant. I know
my
what you
bad.
meant. But yeah, they're in a situation where like, why not? Like, I don't know. I know we're gonna get off track here, but like, I don't know what the Carolina Panthers need anymore. I was riding high on them after last year. I'm like, okay, Bryce Young, you have found your way in the NFL. Like, I know, it was week one, right? We're not gonna overreact too much, but at the same time,
Oh
it's
no,
like,
I'm overreacting. I posted a
man,
TikTok about me sitting down, turning on the TV, and a bomb
I
went going
which I
off.
saw like that
Yeah.
was a hard watch. That really was. And
The
as someone who
video
has
or the
Bryce Young,
game?
the game, the video was great. That was more entertaining than the game. But like Bryce Young on my bench in fantasy football makes me nervous because if Josh Allen goes out to injury, I am screwed. He was like my entire team last week. So I have no answers.
Is there nobody else on the waiver wires?
I mean, I'm sure there is, but Bryce Young again. I took him in like I don't know the 11th or 12th round as a backup. I'm like, yeah, this guy will be a steal. He'll be all right. I don't know.
I don't know either. I think if we really do suck, let's just get Caleb Downs, and I can buy like a Caleb Downs jersey, and he'll be like a franchise, defensive play. Like he'll be the new Luke Kuechly, where it's like
Yeah,
we just have this absurdly good defensive player. But well,
I like it.
who knows what's going to go on with the Panthers? It's really getting rough because we have to do a rebuild again. You know how that is. Like where it's like you thought you're
Oh,
about to be good and then it's another
believe
rebuild.
me,
It's
I
like the
know.
worst feeling.
Believe me, I know.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing is like a lot of my friends are Browns fans, so like they understand. It's
Right.
yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm not in on this just because I kind of like the Seahawks. I think they have something interesting. Um, I also am interested to see if we see Jalen Milroe at some point in the season.
Ooh, yeah. I think it'll happen.
I
I'm
also think
not
Mike
counting them out.
McDonald drafted a guy who maybe he thinks is his Lamar. And
I
also,
like that.
it's just fun that like last time the Seahawks overpaid for a quarterback in free agency and had a third round quarterback, that guy was Russell Wilson.
That's true. You make a good point. Yeah, just to throw out numbers there, by the way, if you parlay all six, it's 10 to win 393. So if you're feeling bold, I went 5 for 6 last week. Um, but again, that doesn't matter unless you go 6 for 6. So I'd probably stay away from the parlays. But hey, if you're feeling bold, if you're feeling confident, if you're like, hey, you know what? I was going to take that too. Austin Fisher said I should take it. I'm taking it. Go for it.
All right, that's great. Let's move into that was our first week of EV passes. I appreciate it. That was great, Austin.
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
All right, let's go back into the primetime games. Talk about some primetime picks. Thursday night football. Tomorrow night we have a great matchup. This podcast will be releasing on Thursday, so this will be the game people are going to be watching tonight. It's going to be
Hmm.
Packers versus Commies. I think week two slate might be even better than week one's. There's a lot of good 1 o'clock games. Like there's Bears Lions at 1 o'clock. I'm very
Yep.
interested in that. 4 o'clock we get Chiefs Eagles, which is good because it can distract me from how bad the Panthers are going to look against the
I like that.
Cardinals.
Yep.
Um, but Thursday night football, Commies versus Packers. Who do you have?
I'm taking the Packers in this one, 31 to 20. I think it's a combination of things. Primetime football at Lambeau is it probably one of the hardest places to play. I think Washington's only saving grace is that it's September and not December, because Matt LaFleur in the month of December at home in primetime just don't even show up. You're not going to win that football game. But aside from that, the Packers looked fluent last week, and this is a very bubble team for me, a team that I find at a very weird spot that not a lot of people are talking about in the big name of things. Everybody's focused on the Lions going from 15-2 last year, the Bears with Ben Johnson, the Vikings. How are they going to adapt with JJ McCarthy? But the Packers are kind of a team that up until the last week of the offseason didn't do a whole lot until they got Micah Parsons. So it's a very interesting team. They go out, they get Matthew Golden, obviously, in the draft, which is great. But again, I don't think they were the main talking point. They were probably the least talked about team in their division. I think they're very slept on. And last week, they kind of showed the world, hey, we're still the Green Bay Packers. We still have this rich history, and we're trying to get back to that next level time and time again. So I think between that and the fact that I took the Commanders in my survivor pool last week. I thought it would be a little bit more comfortable than it was. Defense looked great, but was it really good defense or was it just that god awful giant offense? I mean, they had a goal to go situation from inside the 5 7 plays in a row because there was a penalty on 4th and goal. They could not find the end zone 7 times from 5 yards out. So again, that's probably good defense, but it's also probably horrible Brian Dable play calling. Um, and the Commander offense didn't really impress me a whole lot. Jaden Daniels was flat for most of the game. Deebo Samuel was their saving grace. So great offseason pickup for them, but I just think the Packers at home in primetime are going to be too much.
I got the Commies here.
Okay.
I think I'm just nothing but impressed with Jane Daniels. I kind of dogged on him last year because I felt like he was getting overhyped. I was like, you guys are acting like he's Mahomes. He's just been playing a couple few weeks that are good, and then when he beat
Mm-hmm.
the Lions in the divisional, I was like, holy
Right.
shit! Like this kid's a rookie and just knocked off what I think is the best team in this conference by a mile. Now, granted, Eagles kind of ended up being the best team in that conference. Last year, I mean, the Lions went 15-2, and he beat them in the playoffs. And not only that, he pretty kind of much smacked them. Like,
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
and I think, you know, that's kind of why I just think going into this year, everybody's betting on a sophomore slump. But I'm like, what if this dude's just special? Like, what if this dude is just going to be that guy in the NFC, and he's going to be the top quarterback there and be the special talent in the NFC? Because we all know the top four quarterbacks all reside in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
What if he's gonna be that top guy in the NFC? So I have the commies here, but I think people are expecting a Packers win. Oh, here's the Daniels regression. And I think it's a
Right.
big statement if he comes out, balls out, and it's like, nah, Jaden Daniels is still here.
And again, it could be a combination of both. Maybe it's a shootout. Maybe Daniels throws for 4 touchdowns, and it's the Commander
I'd love
defense
that.
that can't stand up, right? Because I think Jordan Love is also, a great offensive talent. Again, he was a huge question when he got drafted because no one's happy to take a guy first round when you got Aaron Rodgers. But Packer fans can't be upset with how it's turned out in retrospect.
Yeah, I had a Packers fan that was really mad at the time, and now he's like, "Oh man, we got our guy." I'm like, well,
Yep.
"Yeah, I remember you being mad." All right, Sunday Night Football. This is a really fun one. I'm really looking forward to this. Falcons Vikings. Who do you have?
I've got Atlanta here, 20-14 over the Vikings. I think, Michael Penix last week, in the brief highlights that I saw, I don't think I have seen a quarterback put his life on the line more than Michael Penix did in that game against the Buccaneers. The sequence he had on that final full offensive drive where it was fourth down and he dove out of bounds to pick up the first down full extension. And then a couple plays later, it's fourth and goal. He defies the laws of gravity and reaches the goal line by like half an inch of a football. This guy's got heart. And, for a guy that's had to wait patiently, who was drafted again to a team that was very questionable to take him in the first place, um, he's really impressed me, at least through the opening week. And I know last year, the last couple of weeks of the season, he played a couple great teams. That Sunday night game against the Commanders comes to mind in particular. He kind of went toe to toe with Jaden Daniels there. But at the same time, it was a growing moment. The Falcons were never going to make any headway in the playoffs, so I feel like almost them missing the postseason helps them go out and grow a little bit more in the offseason, build that chemistry. And I really like that. And again, we'll talk about the hangovers of games, but the Vikings at a very similar place to the Bills last week. They were outplayed for 45 minutes. The Bears were the Bears in the fourth quarter. I think J.J. McCarthy, I'll give him a lot of credit. Bouncing back from that pick six in your first career game, it's not an easy thing to do. And he ended up leading a terrific game-winning drive there. But regardless, I still think that Minnesota's offense is not as good as they showed out to be in the fourth quarter. I think the Bears just got tired and collapsed. I think it's a low-scoring game, but I do like Atlanta barely.
I'm into Minnesota. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. System offense, good system, best wide receiver in the league, potentially the best defense in the NFL. Some of the Broncos, most likely. I'm in for Minnesota. I think they go 2-0, and everybody's like, "Well, damn, is this team?"
Right.
Like, I think if there's a sleeper team for the Super Bowl, it's Minnesota. I like Minnesota a lot.
Which is hilarious to me because in my preseason prediction, this is probably the craziest preseason prediction. I had them going 4-13. I had a
Wow.
10 win drop from last year to this year. And I'm off to a pretty rough start right now. But maybe this team does come out and surprise me. If they go 2-0, I'll have to change my mind about them. But I think this game does speak a lot to who the Falcons are and who the Vikings are. Because keep in mind, Atlanta's game last week, they probably should have won or at least forced
True.
overtime. But again, kickers will be kickers, as one might know. So there is that.
In the same sense, you don't really have to change your mind until they're 4-0, because then that's how you know they're, gonna beat your record most likely.
Sure. There you go.
All right, double header on Monday Night Football. I actually am not really a fan of double header on Monday night, but I do like the fact that we have one early and then one late. That's a better
I do
way of
like that.
doing it than like the 7:15 and 8:15 starts.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but the first one is Texans Bucks. This one's in Tampa, right?
I think it's in Houston. Let me double check real quick. Yeah, this is at NRG.
Okay. Yeah, I should write down the locations. It's my bad.
That's all good. Let me see here. I have got the Bucks 24-13 in Houston. Tampa Bay was a team that I picked to lose last week, actually. Not because I think they're a bad team per se, but the Falcons have just had their number. They swept them last year. Most of that was Kirk Cousins doing, though, and obviously with Michael Penix, going to take a little bit to get used to that. Regardless, though, I still think the high flying offense of the Buccaneers is going to be too tall of a task for the Texans to handle. Last week, Mike Evans really didn't do a whole lot, but Emeka Egbuka, this is a guy that I'm very surprised came out and performed as well as he did in his opening game. Tampa Bay is doing a very, very weird thing where, the Packers kind of did this with Jordan Love, where they go out and they get their guy for the next couple of years at quarterback. I don't think I've ever seen a team do that with their wide receiver core. They're almost anticipating that Evans and Godwin retire at the same time. And, it's going to be on the backs of Egbuka and McMillan to step up and be the next guys up, which is working out to perfection right now because both guys have been able to produce on their own, and they're not overshadowed by the Hall of Famer Mike Evans and the Hall of really good and Chris Godwin. So I think they're both going to be exceptional pieces here in the offense later on. And Houston's offense last week just really disappointed me. I know they played a really strong Ram defense, but they just came out flat. 9 points on the road, never going to get the job done. I will say their defense played well, but I don't think the Rams offense is anything in comparison to Tampa's.
Yeah, I'm starting to think the Stroud thing was just a rookie year thing. We'll see as the season goes on, but disappointing. But I think that's the way that is. I'm also into the Bucks. You know, I love Baker. The Ibuka thing isn't really that surprising to me. I was really in on him. Everything out of training camp made it seem like he was going to be this year's Brian Thomas Jr. It seems like he is. Also a dude that, I mean, you know, you've watched Ohio State. Like everybody knew this guy was a pro when he was in college. Like he played
Right.
five
Yeah.
years. He was awesome every year. I mean, he played with Fields, Stroud, McCourt, and Howard. Like this guy was at Ohio State forever.
hmm
And you know, I think, wait, what was he there with? I think he was there 1 year with Fields, right? Am I right?
2020. I mean, if he was, he
No,
didn't
he
get a lot of
wouldn't.
playing time.
I think his freshman year would have been a Stroud. I think it would have been
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
I think he was there 5 years, so 21, 22, 23, 24. No, 5 years would be 2020.
Yeah. Point stands though, regardless. Like you're absolutely right
I
about
guess
that.
he was there with Fields. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Wow, that's insane. He saw four Ohio State quarterbacks, whatever. Um, so I think Bucks are a decent, like, I don't know. If there was a sleeper in the NFC, I said it was the Vikings, but you could also talk me into the Bucks. I like this Bucks team a lot. So
Mhm.
I see them getting a win. All right, last Monday night football game. This is a 10 p.m. start. Gonna be a late one to watch, but I'll be watching. Right, we got Raiders, Chargers. This one's in Vegas.
Yes, yeah. I got the Chargers 28-17. I think this is a game that is close for the first three quarters and opens up in the fourth. Two head coaching legends going head to head.
Yep.
Very happy to have this matchup back. I mean, we saw in the NFC West time and time again with the Niners and the Seahawks back in the day. Uh, and as a 2000s kid, really makes me happy to just see these two going head to head twice a year again. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll definitely be staying up for it. But at the end of the day, I just think it's going to be the talent of the Chargers that comes through. Raiders are still a young team. I don't think they'll be bad by any means, but I think Geno Smith, leading the NFL in pass yards last week was completely unexpected. But I don't think it's going to continue for that. I think that Patriot defense really, really disappointed me last week. But again, I think this is a close game for a majority of it. I just think Justin Herbert will take over in the fourth quarter, get the win.
You know, Herbert and I broke up, so I'm taking the Raiders here. I actually genuinely believe this too. I think they're well coached. I think the Chargers come down a little bit from that big win.
Mm-hmm.
I see both these teams having similar records at the end of the year, like 9-8 range. I don't think they're as good as the Broncos or the Chiefs. So I think the Raiders. Also, I think Geno Smith is basically like a Jared Goff level talent, and I don't think we give him enough credit. I mean,
Okay.
he had a winning record 3 straight years in Seattle. When he was the starter, they had a
Yeah.
winning record every year. Now, granted, that might be like 8-7, but it was a winning record.
Yeah.
Geno Smith can win you games, and he's a good system quarterback, and he also has the best tight end in the league. And Jacoby Myers looked good last week, and they didn't get Genty going that much. It's just the week they get Genty going. So that's my piece. So I have Raiders. You took Chargers?
I did, yeah. Is that that's three
Did,
games we have different on
yeah,
prime
I
time
think
then,
we
didn't it?
we went different every single one except for Bucks.
Yeah,
We both took the Bucks.
fair
Well, that'll be
enough.
fun. I'll keep track of how you do. Make sure you keep track of your EV passes. We'll have to see how you
Oh,
do
for
on the
sure.
year.
Absolutely. If I'm not collecting the data, did it even happen? Like, let's be
I know
honest.
you're a big data collector. I think you just bet so you can have stats to look at, for being honest.
Maybe. I love numbers a little bit too
I know
much,
you
maybe.
do.
But
All
yeah,
right, Austin, it was great. I will talk to you again next week. I appreciate it. It was
absolutely.
great.
Appreciate you having me on. We'll see you next week. Hopefully after we go 6-0.
There we go. That would be great. All right, see you, Austin. Thank you.
Later. Yep.